get into the key part of the discussion around those milestones and those inflection points and when to bring in the right help. Perhaps we could just get to know the brand a little bit more on top of what we've just seen. So perhaps you could just tell us a bit about how big it is, where it operates, speed of service, all that kind of stuff. Just a few snapshots so we can really get to understand what this is.
So Chopsticks will get to 100 stores in the UK by the end of the year. Primarily, it's two-thirds company-owned and a third operated by franchise partners, like in the video. The speed of service, the agility of the brand is being quite popular with franchise market. We challenge ourselves to get into certain footprints that we want to. The brand works in high street, the brand works very well in travel hubs, the brand works very well in shopping centres.
Yeah, and what sort of spaces are you taking? How big?
So the agility of the brand is that it can work into something at 300 square feet and sometimes even 200 square feet, but it can also be utilized in a larger restaurant of 2,000 square feet.
Okay. And what's the sort of spend per head? What are people spending at Chopsticks?
So we try to keep it at, as a good value proposition. You can get something for £6. You can get something probably with scaling it up to a meal deal at just at £10.
Yeah, and it's very quick service, is that right? It's in and out within a minute, 2 minutes?
We served under a minute, or we aim to.
Okay.
And, it's theater. So, like, you see the chef cooking in front of you, the food display with all the multiple colors. So, like, your eyes buy, not your stomach, kind of speaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what are the brands you like to be alongside, and where do you like to operate when you're in a food court?
We love to be next to McDonald's and KFC.
Yeah.
Like if both brands are there, that's mean, we are bound to do well because we always come third in shopping malls, like, in the food court, like when they rate us. So like McDonald's, KFC, Chopsticks comes, like surprisingly, before any other brands, which we know in the UK.
And that's in terms of what you're taking, the amount of sales you're generating?
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. Now, I've got quite a few questions for you around those key milestones, but let's just understand a bit more about the origins of Chopsticks. So perhaps you could tell us just a little bit about how you guys met and how it started.
Yeah, probably people could tell that we don't come from the corporate world. We are family business, Menashe is my brother-in-law.
Oh,
and,
wow.
We started, the idea, of Chopsticks was conceived in Camden. Camden Town, there's a market in London, but it was delivered in Oxford Street in 2002. That's where the Chopsticks brand, was born, on Oxford Street. And it was, a very tough ride. We didn't have any funding. It was something new. Originally, we traded with different kind of food. We had pizza offers and fish and chips and that. And suddenly we introduced that little Chinese counter, in Camden, and did well. And we decided to go and,
all in.
All in and take a gamble. And
okay.
Here we are.
So, sorry, you're married to Menashe's sister? Okay. So you
Secret
guys
of a good
really have to
partnership.
get on, don't you?
Secret of a good partnership.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you. And so that was the first store that opened in Camden Market. Chopsticks was born, and that was when?
In 1997.
Okay.
And in Camden, around 1997. Chopsticks was born 2002 in Oxford Street. That the brand, the name
I see.
and everything.
I see.
Yeah.
So you're 20 years old. Okay. So I've got. Let's get into those milestones and knowing when to bring in the key help. I've got 2008 as one of those first milestones. Talk to me about that.
That's where the UK. We hit the recession at that time, and in a way, it was a good thing for us, fortunately, because it opened doors for us, the snobby landlords, shopping centers, and that, they were in trouble. And, they started entertaining the idea of us coming because we weren't seen on the, F&B,
so locations that might not have been available to you,
yeah.
suddenly...
It became suddenly, open arms, and that's where we expanded rapidly, and we moved into shopping centers, and we realized we're not small anymore. There's big attraction. People talking to us, people wants to take the brand outside the UK. But we decided no. Let's keep our feet on the ground, and let's not spread ourselves and get excited with ideas. The idea was, to build more stores in the UK, to become, the biggest fish in a small pond,
Right.
rather than, be like small fish in the whole of Europe.
I see.
yeah.
I see. So suddenly that recession allowed you to grow much faster and gave you the opportunity as entrepreneurs to expand the business. And then the next big moment came in 2015.
Yeah.
Menashe, what happened?
So I think if you really want to know your concept and your brand, you should franchise it. So really to take everything that you know and to articulate it, break it down into processes, salami slice every step of the operation. That's what happened in 2015. We were approached by a large corporate that wanted to, came across Chopsticks in our operations within Fort Courts and wanted to take it to Ireland. We teamed up with Applegreen. We rolled out quite a few Chopsticks in a small period of time. And then really the idea came to how to get the product more consistent, easy to deliver, be able to teach the concept across and teach it well at a quick pace of time. So we went through, like most businesses would in growth, understanding our processes, trying to break them down, simplify them, so to manage consistency, manage labor, manage skill sets, and remove a lot of hurdles that were in existence from the beginning of the business. So this is where we went into really defining our menus, understanding really where were the supply chains, how to simplify the processes within the kitchen, take a chunk of them out of the kitchen. We never had the desire to build our own central kitchen. We worked with manufacturers, so all our proteins comes almost ready, our sauces are ready, and there is less skill needed within the stores to be able to get that consistency across.
And when you think about the start of that process to where the business is now, that feels like a huge moment. The business is completely transformed from...
You need a scalability, so I think there probably isn't a shortcut, but once we had the scale, it was much easier to speak to manufacturers. I think Sam and I would never wanted to go through the route of owning our own central kitchens. Probably we had the vision to grow, and not how quickly could you scale up a kitchen further. And the side where the business is, we operate really well in Scotland. We operate all the way down in the south and Wales and Norwich. So strategically, we wanted our wheels to be able to get us everywhere. That also brought the whole idea of how do we get the ingredients, who's the best person to make them for us, and how easy is it to deliver the consistency and the quality within the restaurants.
So you almost had to step out and look at your business externally and consider, how could this work for other people, and how could you scale it? Did you always have aspirations to operate a very big business, or did it? You're on this hell of a journey where you're going to be at 100 units within 12 months. When did you start to think that was a possibility in terms of this being a scale business and a growth business that could get to 3 figures in terms of units?
I think we shared a dream, but if you think inception was, let's make a business that makes us money, and we keep those disciplines today too. So we drive businesses that they can create good incomes, which is why the attraction from the franchise community is coming through. Low capex, high margin, low labor cost, low skill base, and the flexibility and agility to work in small footprints.
Yeah, thank you. So as James said, there's lots of milestones, and I think one of the things that you've done, it appears really well, is just knowing when to bring in the right help and when. So can you just talk a bit more about that, whether it was key hires or food expertise or whatever it might be?
After the Applegreen approach, don't forget that 10 years ago we operated the head office with the 3 people, myself, Menashe, and 1 assistant. That was 10 years ago, and now we have over 50 people in head office. So just give you the scale. And after the approach, we said, okay, now we have to step up our game, here, and we started looking, for external help, and we we go into the market and we, try to get the best people to help us. And, gradually, we hired and fired and that until we got our MD, John Lake, which is, he transformed our business since he joined us, into a different level. He built up a team around him, FD, operation directors, everything a company, or corporate needs. Yeah. So he's running, the corporate side, but, we still have our involvement. We want to keep, this family, flavor inside it. We look after the pennies,
part, I think we harness well, but you also have to be humble enough to understand if you really want that growth that we spoke about, and there is growth for Chopsticks of 500, north of 500 stores in the UK alone, and we have aspirations to franchise internationally. You've got to humble yourself and say there are people out there who know the business very well, and you should bring them in very, very quickly.
Yeah, and so that was the next, bringing John in was the next stage in sort of systemizing the business, building more structure. What are some of the other key inflection points or key hires that you've made in order to take the business to the next level?
Probably around the marketing with Rob. Yeah. So again, we were the best kept secret in the industry, but we went out and hired a good marketeer, Rob, who oversees that. I think ops, obviously growing business and having ambition to grow in such a scale, you need a really strong based ops, and you need to bring people who have done it and have operated many stores and have those ideas and structures and disciplines within. So I think that's important. More recently, Aaron here, because our aspiration is to franchise more and to go from a company that runs a majority of their stores to tip over towards having more franchise partners. So Aaron has come onto the board as well. So again, where the business goes, we will need those skill sets, and we will go to the market and hire them.
Yeah, sounds like a lot of it's been around people. Just obviously perennial, anyone that knows these businesses, it's all about perennial improvement, improving every facet. But a lot of it has been about handing responsibility to other people as you put them in.
You need to delegate power when you are at that size now, but as I said, we keep our eyes on the ball, the ethic of the business stays the same, and we can, hire the best people, and, to take it to the next level, because there's a big room and big gap in the market, for, Oriental food, QSR,
Yeah, absolutely. The clock is ticking. We're almost out of time. I can keep asking questions, but I wondered if anyone here has a question that they'd like to put to Sam or Menashe. Gentleman here, if you could just tell us who you are and where you're from, please. Thank you.
My name's Alan Laughlin. I run Vapiano, so I'm familiar with the UK market.
Yeah.
I'll be talking a little bit more tomorrow afternoon about that. But I don't have a question. I just have a comment. I think anyone in the restaurant industry just has to admire your sweat equity you put into this thing. To grow to 100 restaurants from nothing is just really impressive. Really inspirational for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. That's very nice. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Look forward to hearing you speak tomorrow. Anyone else? We can get a microphone to you. Shall I keep going? I'll keep going. So what's the secret to your partnership? And how do you, it must be fairly tense. It sounds intense, as Alan was just saying, taking this business to 100 sites. What's the secret to your partnership? Is it because you're family?
It did help.
I think the age gap, he listens to me.
Okay.
He's married to my sister, so I'll get her to discipline him.
Who's older?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The truth is, it's a shared vision and a shared goal. And like I said, we do go out there and we hire people, but I don't look at it as hiring. I think we bring people into the Chopsticks family, and it is a family.
Yeah.
And my question is, why do you keep doing this, and why are you not looking to sell? Which is obviously pretty direct, but you've created this amazing business. It's almost 100 sites. It's profitable. You've created a business that makes money. Why do you keep doing what you're doing, and what's your vision?
It's a good question, and we're fortunate in the time of when people have kept on calling regarding a franchise agreement. We have similar calls often now. People are interested in the business. We still get up in the morning and we're still excited.
Yeah, you know, he doesn't want to be the next McDonald brothers.
And there's a thing that
You
goes
don't
in the
wanna
back
be
of
the
my
guy
head.
that sold
You don't want to
So
be
there's
the
a
guy
lot
that
of
sold
room,
McDonald's,
you
do
know,
you?
like, you know, to grow. Like,
Yeah.
we haven't scratched the surface yet. You know, like, you know, with all what you've seen.
Yeah.
And you know, we're lucky. There's no competition in the market. You know, like like you look at the USA. There's Panda Express, and that's it. You come to Europe, it's like small scattered, like, you know, chains. You know, like,
Right.
you know, house and, you know, and husband, like, you know, like running the place.
There's no one doing what you're
you know,
doing.
competition because it's very complicated food. But you know, you know, we made it simple. We
Yeah.
made it simple. But people they're not encouraged, like corporate, to move into, like, you know, this type of market. You know, like it's not flipping a burger or frying, you know, chicken.
Yeah.
You know, like it's very complicated. But we made it really, really simple.
Yeah, and I guess there is no one doing that Asian QSR in
Not
the
on
UK
a
at
big
this scale.
scale.
And finally, what advice would you give to entrepreneurs who were where you were 5, 10, 15 years ago? What's the sort of secret to what you've done?
Love what you do. Wake up every day excited to go to work like we do here. You know, like, you know, every day we wake up and excited and we go, and even though we have over 1,500 employees, like, you know, we still involved in everything and every decision and every, you know, detail of the business, you know. And once we lose that, that's when we are ready to sell off. But now we're happy to be there.
It's when you're ready to talk to Ashton, who was on here before you.
Yeah.
I think for me it would be keep it simple. Keep it simple. Don't get carried away with the noise. Keep it simple. Make sure your margins are right. Make sure your capex is right. Make sure that your labor margins are right. And make sure people run away with the ideas of growth. Make money. Ultimately, the business has to make money, and it needs to reward the franchise community too. So just keep it simple.
Yeah. I've got loads more questions, but the clock has gone red. So that was really just scratching the surface, but I hope that's been useful. Please join me in thanking Sam and Menashe.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.